Has anyone ever tried to trick you into doing something that you really didn't want to do? How did you deal with that person? Hello everyone, I'm Kathleen Pelly. Welcome to Journey with Story. Today's episode is a tale from Spain called Well at the World's End, and it's about a wicked enchantress who manages to trick 3 young princes from bringing the healing water of life back to their blind father. But when this enchantress tries to trick the princess who comes after them, she is not quite so successful. Before we begin, a huge thanks to Celine from Turkey, who recently sent a beautiful drawing inspired by one of our episodes, Salt on a Magpie's Tail. You can see her drawing on our April blog post, and this is what she wrote. Hi, my name is Celine. I am 10 years old, turning 11 on April the 2nd. Happy belated birthday, Celine. I live in Istanbul, Turkey. I love your stories and I listen to them every night. I hope you keep creating stories. I'm sending you a picture I drew based on my favourite story, Salt on a Magpie's Tail. I hope you can give me a shout out in one of your future stories. Much love to you from Turkey. Oh, thank you so much, Celine. And a big hello to all of our listeners in Turkey. Now, let's take a journey with Well at the World's End. Once upon a time, there lived a king and queen with their 3 sons, Diego, Fernando, and Pedro. It was during the wedding of their eldest son, Pedro, that tragedy struck. The king was walking in the grounds of the palace when he heard a strange crowing from overhead. As he looked up to see a large flock of exotic birds, something fell into his eyes. He rubbed them furiously, but when he tried to open his eyes, he could only see grey, blurry shapes. After just a few days, his world had turned to darkness. A parade of doctors, healers, herbalists, and soothsayers came to the palace, intending to cure the king of his blindness. None were successful, and the fog that had afflicted the king's sight seemed to hang mournfully over the palace, and indeed the whole kingdom. The last person to see the king was an old hermit who lived alone in a cave in the far reaches of the kingdom. He was known for his wisdom and prophecies, and he gave the king some advice. Someone must travel to the end of the world to find the magic well. It is full of life-giving water. Just a few drops will be enough to cure your blindness. But be warned, the well is guarded by a cunning enchantress. So far, nobody has ever made the journey home. The king's sons all offered to make the journey, feeling sure that they would succeed where others had failed. Diego was chosen to make the journey first. He packed 2 small saddlebags and set off. To reach the end of the world, one must travel very far. Diego and his steed galloped across wide plains, through dry deserts, lush forests, tall mountains, and over rushing rivers. They trudged through snow and ice, baked themselves in scorching heat, and got drenched by relentless rain. After many moons, Diego reached the sea. The only living soul around was an old fisherman. Diego approached him and asked if he knew where the water of life might be found. "Indeed I do, young sir," said the fisherman. "There is a rock far out to sea. On that rock sits a castle, and in that castle is a courtyard that houses a well. In there you will find the precious water of life. But be careful. The well is guarded by an enchantress who has turned many before you into stone. I advise you to go no further." Diego would not hear of this and said angrily, "Do you realize how far I have come to find this well? At last it seems within reach, and you tell me to turn back? No enchantress will get the better of me." "Very well, sir," said the fisherman. "I will row you over there, but you can't say I didn't warn you." Diego and the fisherman set sail. The sea was as still as a lake, and it didn't take long to arrive at the rocky outcrop. As soon as the fisherman had moored the boat, Diego sprung onto the rocks. After hours of climbing, he arrived, hot and bothered, at the gates of a majestic castle. Diego entered the gates and spotted the well immediately. It was carved from dazzling white marble, and a fountain of clear water rose from its centre. Diego was transfixed. Music seemed to be coming from the well, echoing from its depths. He walked towards it as though in a trance and drew out his flask. But he was no longer alone. A young woman stood in front of him. Her green eyes glittered like emeralds. And when she smiled, the rest of the world became blurred. "Young man, why the hurry? You've journeyed all the way to the end of the world and must be in need of a rest and some sustenance." I'm sorry," Diego stammered. I should be leaving." As he spoke, a heaving table of food and drink appeared. The woman motioned to a velvet couch with plump cushions. "You wouldn't leave me to eat alone, would you?" Taking her outstretched hand, Diego sat down and began to eat. Hardly had the first bite touched his lips when he was overcome by drowsiness. Before he could utter a word, the poor prince had been turned to stone. Of course, the young woman was really the enchantress. With a snap of her fingers, she ordered her servants to take the statue of Diego down to the castle cellar. After a year, the royal family despairingly gave up hope of Diego ever returning, and they turned to Fernando. He set off with just as much optimism as Diego. But a year passed with no news, and the king and the queen asked Pedro, the eldest, to make the journey. "See you soon, Mother and Father. I won't let you down," said Pedro confidently as he rode off. Another year went by, and Pedro did not return. The king and queen were beside themselves. Not only was the king still blind, but they had lost all 3 of their dear sons. Valentina was Pedro's wife. She went to see the king and queen and begged them to let her try the journey. The king and queen refused, but this did not deter her. She always did exactly as she pleased. In the dead of night, Valentina dressed in a suit of her husband's clothes and rode like the wind. She spent many days and nights galloping across the lands until she found herself on a bleak and barren shore. An old man stood gazing thoughtfully out to sea. Valentina spoke in the gruffest voice she could muster. "Good day, fisherman. Can you tell me how to reach the well at the world's end?" The fisherman shook his head sadly. "I have rowed 3 young men like yourself to yonder island in the last 3 years. None have returned. I won't make the journey again." Valentina decided to tell the old man everything. She explained that she was really a woman and that her husband was one of the princes who had come before her. The fisherman nodded gravely. "The enchantress is able to fool the hearts of men, but perhaps she will not be able to overcome you so easily." Before long, Valentina was entering the gates of the castle. She soon heard the well's haunting melody and ran quickly towards the crystal fountain. Having filled her flask with the water of life, she ventured inside the castle. A small wooden door lay ajar. Valentina pushed it open and went down the stone steps. She stood for a moment, allowing her eyes to adjust to the gloom. The room was crowded with stone statues. Suddenly, something caught her eye. One of the statues looked familiar. Valentina walked over to it and gasped in fright. It was her dear husband, Pedro. "Can I help you?" asked a sharp voice. Valentina turned to see a pretty young woman. "I think you must be lost, sir," said the woman. "Allow me to take you back up to the castle for a hearty meal." But Valentina was prepared, and these charms had no effect on her. She stepped forward with a hand on her sword. At once, the young woman melted into a hunched old lady who put out a quivering hand. "Oh, please, sir, have mercy on an old woman." Valentina drew the sword with a flourish, and the old woman transformed into a haughty queen. "You wouldn't dare attack a royal queen," she said. But Valentina did dare. She stepped quickly forward and plunged her sword into the queen's heart. Instantly, the witch turned to dust, and hundreds of stone statues sprang to life. After a joyful reunion, Valentina and the princes filled their flasks with the water of life. Triumphantly, they returned home and presented the king with the healing water. Tearfully and filled with happiness, the king embraced his family. Thank you, my sons, for undertaking this adventure on my behalf. But thank you most of all to my bold Valentina. There is no one braver in the whole kingdom, and you shall wear the crown once I am gone. Queen Valentina became a ruler of great fairness, and whilst she listened calmly to any advice given to her, in the end, she always did exactly as she pleased. So I wonder, do you think it is always a good thing to do exactly as you please, just like Valentina? Why or why not? I think this would make a great discussion question for your friends and family. Remember, mums and dads, if you want some colouring sheets to accompany our episodes, all you have to do is sign up for our free monthly newsletter at www.journeywithstory.com. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment to rate, review, and share with others. Oh, one more thing. If any of you would like to support us even more, you might consider making a small donation using our new donate button at www.journeywithstory.com. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio. Join me next time for Journey with Story. Music and post-production was by Colette Jonas.